My brothers and sisters, the Lord be with you.
And with you today.
Reading from the Good News of Jesus Christ according to St. John.
Glory be to you.
Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father loves me, so I also love you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and your joy might be complete. This is my commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I no longer call you slaves, because the slave does not know what his master is doing. I have called you friends, because I have told you everything I have heard from my Father. It was not you who chose me, but it was I who chose you and appointed you to go and to bear fruit that will remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. The command I give you is love one another." The good news of our salvation.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
And so, my sisters and brothers, as I was reflecting on the readings of today's liturgy, and it's all about love, I thought to myself, this notion of love, or the word love, is such an overused word, both in religious cultures and secular cultures combined. So what is this thing that we call love, right? And so I'm saying to myself, well, what am I going to talk about that people haven't heard before in terms of what we mean by this word love? And while I was thinking about all of this, all of a sudden it dawned on me, talk about the obvious, that it's Mother's Day. And so I reflected a bit on mothers. By the way, I heard recently, mirror, mirror on the wall, you are your mother after all. So I just passed that on to you. So, but thinking about mothers, and really, as we say, you have one mother and that's it, right? And I would say that really the love that a mother has is unique. I can't even find the words to describe this. But when we start talking about what love is, it struck me that when we look to mothers, we might get some insight to what the word really means. So, for example, I thought of many, many stories about my own mother. I can write a book about the stories of my mother. But the one that came to mind in terms of the readings today was this. As my mother was being taken out on an ambulance, right, she was having a stroke, right? She actually said, "I bought this fruit here for my son, so please, when he comes, tell him the fruits are here." And she also left for my sisters and I, those pamphlets, what to do when someone dies? So she left us pamphlets on what we were supposed to do, how you grieve, and so on and so forth. And the best part of the story, she also left lottery numbers. I was absolutely convinced that we were going to win all of this money. So I called my sisters. I said, "I'm going out right now to play these numbers," right? Well, lo and behold, not one of the numbers came through, right? So I was quite annoyed at my mother at that point. And by the way, I should have kept the numbers. I want to play them again, but I don't know I'm going to look for the paper. But think about this. This is a small example, but it shows love being very concrete. And I would propose to you that only a mother would do stuff like that. And so it might give us an insight to what this word love is ultimately all about. Now, love in the abstract. We can sing about love, we can write poems about love, and we can have love in the abstract, right? And it's a nice feeling when we talk about love in the abstract. It was Dorothy Day that said, "Love in dreams is a very beautiful thing, but it is harsh in reality." And by harsh, she means that in reality, it's not so easy to love, right? It's challenged to love. Now, I think we get a really profound insight in the readings today, especially the second reading, that God is love. That's how we define God. And so what do we mean by this? God is love and love is God, right? God is love. What's really so important about that second reading is this, that when you look at the Greek text, that John uses the word for love. He uses two different words in the Greek, agape and philia. Agape is this intellectual kind of thing. Agape is loving in this knowledge kind of way, in this head trip kind of way. In this deepest of ways is agape. But then he also uses interchangeably the word philia, which means friendship. And what he does in that second reading, he translates love in the abstract into love in action. Now, ultimately, this is what the incarnation is all about. And think about this. We are the only religion that claims that God became human. Our God became human so that we could touch him and he could touch us. Our God became human to show us how to love in the concrete, to love in the here and now. And we heard in the beautiful gospel text that the God who became human says, I no longer call you servants, I call you friends. So God came to have philia with us. He wanted to have a relationship with us, not just a head trip, but he became human so that he might have a relationship with us. And so, when we start talking about love, it can be an illusion when we get into all these thoughts and ideas and the head trip kind of thing. But that said, and I often think about this, if I don't know how to talk to you, how could I say that I'm talking to God? And so really, how could I say, as we hear from St. John, that I love God if I don't love you? You see, it goes hand in hand. And it was Don Chapman, the English Benedictine, who said, if you need to know how you're doing, then look to the charity of your life. Look to how well you concretely love other people, right? So it's bringing love into the reality of the here and now, into the reality of what it means to be human. And I leave you with this image, and it came to me as I've been thinking about this for the past couple of days. O. Henry has a short story you might remember called The Gift of the Magi. And in his short story, there's a husband and wife, Della and Jim. And it's Christmas time. And they didn't have much money. It was the first year of their marriage. And they both wanted to do something to make the other happy. And so they had very little. Now, Jim had a gold watch that his grandfather gave him. And this gold watch was his most precious possession. He went and sold the gold watch so that he can buy this set of very special combs to give to his wife, who had beautiful long blonde hair. Well, meanwhile, the wife, Della, thinking, what is she going to give to Jim? She went and had her hair cut and sold the cut hair so that she could buy a gold chain for Jim's watch. So, Christmas Day came, and the point of the story, or the moral of the story, that was so overwhelming for Della and Jim, is that both were ready to lay down their lives for one another. This is what love does. Love gives all to the other, whatever the price might be. And so it's really what we sing in the Broadway musical Les Mis, that to love another person is to see the face of God.